The rule of 25, the 4% rule, the 80-20 rule, the 50-30-20 rule. Many of us follow these rules blindly, but sadly, they may not solve the problems for which they are famous for. You thought you have a plan in place? Think again. Maybe you're not doing the maths right. We all dream of early retirement where we can trade off our current job and do something that my heart tells me, that your heart tells you, something that you follow blindly, something that's your passion. And you can do that, all of that without any financial worries. The idea of retiring early has captivated many in this world. And so, the path was laid down. And one of the most popular path was the FIRE method. Gaining immense wealth, a big house, a big car, a big bank balance. All of these makes us proud.
आज मेरे पास बिल्डिंगें हैं, प्रॉपर्टी है, बैंक बैलेंस है, बंगला है, गाड़ी, क्या है तुम्हारे पास?
But what stands aside is this.
मेरे पास रिटायरमेंट है.
No hard feelings, please. Shashi ji gave an iconic response to Vijay's arrogance. We all know what he said. Every one of us know what he said. That was an iconic statement. But I deliberately did a voiceover to make a point. And the point is, when you have amassed immense wealth, you start to think you are happy. You start to think you are now financially free. But are you really financially free yet? Have you checked your numbers? Did you do the maths right? In this video, we'll see 4 things. The FIRE, the FIRE movement. Its practical implementation in the Indian context, not in the US context. What if the FIRE principle doesn't work in the Indian context? What would you do? Let's suppose the FIRE principle works, but you cannot adhere to the FIRE principle. What would you do? Many of us are in the same situation. Trust me, all of us wants to retire early, but many cannot adhere to the FIRE principles, or it may not work for them. Help them. Like this video and subscribe to this channel so this video can reach and help all of those people who are still struggling with their finances. Well, we know FIRE stands for Financial Independence Retire Early. And that's what it is. It's all about attaining financial freedom at an age much earlier than the official retirement age in this country. In this book, Your Money or Your Life by Vicky Robin and Joe Dominates, they summarize 9 critical points in your financial journey. He describes how time and effort is spent to earn money. They argue by viewing money as a representation of their life's energy. By doing so, we can make more conscious decisions about how we make or spend money. Then comes the consumer culture, the money trap. The consumer culture that constantly pressurizes us to accumulate more material wealth to impress others. In doing so, we have already forgotten where it's all going. There is a 3-question exercise which will bring us back. Was the purchase truly necessary? Is it aligned with my values? And am I satisfied with this purchase? That's it. The solution to come out of this is number 4, which is the monthly tabulation process, which involves tracking your income, your expenses, your investments, tracking your status on a regular basis. This is when, number 5, is when your passive income surpasses your active income, and when it surpasses your monthly expenses, that is what leads to financial independence. That is your financial independence number, FI number, and that is what you should be striving for. And then comes the awareness of transforming oneself, transforming your relationship with money. And this is where it comes out, where you should ask yourself, is it your life or is it your money? You need to choose whether to invest only for money or to invest in your life, your health, your relationships. Invest in your personal growth. all of these can overall enhance your life. Number 8, pursuing financial independence does not require sacrificing your happiness. It is important to align spending with personal values and finding a creative way to live a very fulfilling life, yet by reducing your finances. And number 9 is to redefine the concept of work and find meaningful ways to contribute to the society. Now, contrary to that, FIRE stands on 3 strong pillars. Save a major portion of your income, live frugally, invest wisely. So FIRE is all about very high savings rate, very, very high savings rate. Now, once you decide to follow that, a very evident question comes in mind. How much? How much income do you need for a very early retirement in your life? To answer these questions, there are some thumb rules. The rule of 25, which says that the corpus which you should build, that should be minimum of at least 25 times of your annual expenses. 25 times of your annual expenses at the time of your retirement. Another way is the 4% rule, which says if you have amassed 25 times of your annual expenses as your final corpus, you can very comfortably withdraw 4% from that every year and keep the rest invested in the same or in a very good growth investment opportunity, investment vehicle, which will help you sail through your post-retirement life very comfortably till you die. But all these rules are based out of the US context. They work in America, probably. But does it mean it is also good for us? Should we follow these rules blindly? To do this, we have taken some assumptions, and here they are. Now, to understand this FIRE movement, we have taken some assumption. We have assumed something here. The assumptions are: you are 30 years old now. Your current age is 30, and you want to retire at 50. So 20 years from now, you're planning to retire. You expect to live till 80, 85, 90, 100, whatever it is you feel like you can put in here. Your current savings till date, you have not saved anything at all. Now, this is a typical situation for most Indians as of now. Now, here comes the big difference. I am assuming you're doing well. Since you have not invested so much, you have probably invested on yourself, and you have qualified and got a job which is paying you handsomely well, and you're in a point where you can invest 50,000 rupees a month, and you plan to increase that investment by 10% every year. Now, your pre-tax return on investment, the returns that you get on that investment is 12%. You have put your money in a vehicle that is paying you 12% returns every year. And there is a 10% capital gains tax. Now, once you retire at the age of 50, that's what you plan, or whenever you plan to retire, you plan to put your money on an instrument which would pay you an 8% ROI or a CAGR of 8%. The reason why I'm saying this is because when you put your money in an instrument at 8% ROI, you would probably want it to be safe. You would probably want your money to be safe at the age of 50 when you're retiring. You don't want to put your money at risk, so you're putting your money in an instrument which is a lot more safer. And you know, safe instruments don't pay you high rate of returns. So that's why it's just 8%. And assuming currently at the age of 30, your current monthly expenses are just 46,000 rupees. So with your current monthly expenses at 46,000 rupees and your household inflation is around 8%. So with these two conditions, current monthly expenses around 45 to 50,000 rupees, which goes up 8% annually, that's your inflation. By the time you retire, your expenses would reach at around 2,14,000 rupees a month. Now, the reason why I took 8% inflation rate is here. Go ahead and have a look at it. Now, you put all these numbers in a step-up SIP calculator, and this is what you get. Let me do it right in front of you. You plan to invest 50,000 rupees for 20 years, that's 240 months. You get a return of 12%, and you want to increase the amount of your investments by 10% annually. Hit calculate now, and this is what you get. This is your total investment, and this is your total growth. Total invested this, total growth this, and your final value is 9.8 CR. 9.8 crores is what you accumulate over a period of 20 years with this vehicle. Now, we have the main calculation. Let's see. Now, I have taken this assumption as this is your monthly expense. We assumed that our monthly expense at the age of 30 years is around 46,000 a month. So per year it is 5.5 lakhs and in a year. With an 8% inflation on this expense rate, next year it's going to go up to 49,000. Annual expenses would go up to almost 6 lakhs. Further down, 10 years down the line, when you're 40, annual expenses would go up to around 12 lakhs, nearly 12 lakhs. At 50, annual expenses would go up to around 25 lakhs. If you can retire, that's fine. Just suppose if you cannot retire, your annual expenses by the time you are 60, official retirement age, it would reach around 55 lakhs annually. That would be your annual expenses. So this is your annual expenses with an 8% inflation. Let's put these numbers and find out what FIRE tells us. We know we have accumulated 9.5 lakhs, 9 crore 80 lakhs, sorry. We have accumulated 9 crore 80 lakhs in retirement as our retirement corpus. Now our monthly expenses, as I say, at the age of 50 would be around 25 lakhs 72,000 a year. The FIRE, by definition, it tells us that you have to accumulate about 25 times of that amount, 25 lakhs 72,000. 25 times this amount is this. What if you don't retire at 50? You retire at 52, take 2 more years. Then this is your expense at the age of 52, annual expense. 25 times that is this. If you retire at 55, this is your annual expense. 25 times that is this. At 57, 25 times of that is this. If you retire at 60, 25 times of that is this. Now let's see. You plan to retire at the age of 50. So at the age of 50, your retirement corpus is this. Let's choose this. 6, 43, 21, 208.59. That's your retirement corpus. Now after tax, this is what you get in hand. And this is the money which you're going to put in an instrument which would appreciate by 8% on an annual basis. Remember, we are putting it in a safe instrument which is going to give you an ROI of 8%. That's what we initially discussed. You're putting it in a safe instrument which is going to give you an ROI of 8%. So coming back, you put this number here, 8% capital appreciation. Total corpus at the end of this year is your beginning corpus plus whatever has grown is this. You withdraw 4% as per the FIRE rule, which is 25 lakhs. You have a corpus which is 6 crores, which is still left behind. But if you compare this with your monthly expenses, your monthly expense says you need 25 lakhs 72,000 rupees. Are you meeting your finances? Are you meeting the amount that you require? 25 lakhs 72,000. No, you're falling short by 72,000 rupees. So if you retire at 50, even if you have accumulated 25 times of your annual expense, you are still not meeting it. You're still falling short. Yes, you have your corpus and it's growing every year, but you're falling short by a handsome amount every year. So there are two options. Either you cut short your expenses, which probably would automatically happen because you may not have this much of expense at that point of time, because your children's education will be over, your home EMIs will be over. But yes, again, at the same time, your medical expenses would rise. You would encounter multiple hospitalization. Massive surgery expenses would come across. Mediclaim EMIs would be very, very high. So that's roughly what I have calculated. Now, if this figure, if this table doesn't show you a good number, it shows a shortfall, what do? You stretch your retirement to 52 to accumulate what? This amount. So let's choose this amount. Yep. You do manage to get something here for maybe just 4-5 years, and then again you fall short. So what do? Probably you postpone your retirement by another couple of years. You retire at 55 to accumulate what? 94508. So if you do that, you see here, you can stretch by how many years? 9 more years. So if you retire at 55, this will be 55, and then 9 more years down the line, it will be 64. You would run out of money when you are 64. So what do? Probably you extend further. At 57, you would still have 13 years in hand where you would have surplus before you run out of money again. So probably you might choose to retire at 60 when it's the official government age. But even then, you still survive for another 19 years. So that's 80, almost 79 to be precise. Yep, there are conditions. You would have to invest this excess amount that is there every year back into your corpus. And if you do that, then that advanced more corpus would compound itself, and probably you can stretch by another 8, 9 or 10 years. So this could be an option. So even if I increase my annual expenses by 25 times, I cannot take the luxury of retiring at 50. It does not meet my criteria. So either I can push my retirement back, or this is what I have to increase. I have to increase this to say probably 30 times. So if I increase it to 30 times my expenses, so at 50, if I increase or if I accumulate 30 times of my annual expense, I can probably retire at 50 and still have 4 or 5 years in hand before money starts running out again. Maybe then again, even after I have accumulated 30 times my corpus, 30 times my annual expenses, I would probably still have to postpone my retirement to say maybe 52 doesn't help, 55 doesn't help, maybe 60 would still help me in getting through, as I would have 23 years in hand after I retire at 60. That will take me off beyond 80-85 years before I die. So this is a rough calculation which you can find, and try and tweak your number and try and place your number in a place which is very much comfortable for you to retire. If you still feel this is not much, maybe you have to accumulate more. Maybe you have to accumulate 35 times. If you still want to retire at 50, maybe if you might have to accumulate 40 times your annual expenses, maybe 50 times your annual expenses. Yeah, probably. Then it might make sense. You would still run out of your money at 65, 66. But yeah, if you reinvest these amounts, these excess amounts, you would pull this by another 10, 15 years, maybe. That's it. So this is how you should tweak and try out your numbers, which makes it very, very evident that the traditional FIRE method may or may not be working for you. You have to find your own number. Don't just blindly follow what the rule says. Make your own rules. So you see, in an Indian context, we may not just follow all the FIRE rules that are commonly used. We need to tweak it according to our needs. And after all the tweaking that you have done, what if you're still running out of money? What do you do? What are your choices? Maybe you can postpone your early retirement by a couple of years, maybe. Maybe you can increase your monthly savings by reducing your expenses. Or maybe you can retire partially. By partial retirements means you can leave the current job, but maybe you might do something else. Maybe you can work part-time post-retirement. So there is nothing wrong in the conventional model. Absolutely nothing wrong. But if you want more control over your life and your time, then probably you can explore the FIRE movement. But remind you, if you do plan to go for it, be ready to be super disciplined, because you will need to make massive sacrifices and massive changes in your lifestyle. But if you do it, you will be rewarded. So once again, like this video and subscribe this channel and stay tuned in this wonderful journey of financial independence. And if you're still planning or struggling with your finances, this is the playlist which you should be visiting. And if you've already figured out your basics, this is the playlist which you should be visiting next. Go ahead, click on them right now. As of this video, adios.